I want to thank you for coming to the lunch today. We had, Tom Emmer was supposed to join us, but he's unable to make it or backed out at the last minute. And we had a lot of candidates that weren't able to show up today. So unfortunately, we're not getting the full representation that we hoped. So I apologize for that. But we'll start with introducing ourselves so everybody can get to know each other. We'll start with you, Amy, go around the room, and then we'll bring up, we've got a few different things besides the candidate forum happening today too, so we'll get to those after the introductions.
Amy Brickleg with Branding Transportation, also a board member.
Kathleen Stanger from ARFIG Communications.
Ken Raschke, private citizen.
Eric Crescent, interested citizen.
Peter Morgan, Gabriel Media, Home of Family Friendly, Spirit 929 and KS 1180.
Candace Day, Verizon, Cold Spring.
Jerry Ryder, Granite Community Bank.
Rita Hammond, Creating Steve's Travel, and also the Cold Spring Area Historical Society.
Drew Rasmussen, Granite Community Bank.
Brad Winfeld, Declare Insurance.
Jim Ine, Granite Community Bank and Chamber Board Member.
Bob Llewellyn, Granite Community Bank. Fritz Sauer, Granite House. Barry Boyd, Record Middle School.
Dave Lyman, City Council candidate.
Peter Klumbick, City Council candidate.
Ken Style, Granite Community Bank.
I hesitated because I'm sitting here wondering how I should introduce myself because we have citizens from Cold Spring. I would say Gary Tyson Cold Spring, but Cold Spring Granite DBA Cold Spring. Not really.
Renee Hamish, Cold Spring Granite. I won't be
I'm gonna tell her.
Brian Simpson, REPIG, Security and Surveillance.
Pastor Corey Honkey from Glory to Lutheran Church.
Karen Willenbrain, Cold Spring Bakery.
Lynn Sherman, Cold Spring Bakery, and today, Corey School Board.
Ordine Peterson, River Life Church. Scott Staska, Corey Schools, and a Chamber Board member.
Stacy Coral from Gabriel Media, also Spirit 92.9 and KS 1180 AM.
I'm Megan McClure with McClure Insurance Agency, Chamber Board member, and in charge of planning these luncheons.
And my name is Bob Thielen. I'm a CPA in Cold Spring. I'm a candidate for mayor, and I'm also on the Cold Spring Chamber Board of Directors.
First, we're going to let Gary Tyson wants to take a couple minutes to say something, so we'll start with you, Gary.
Sure,
and
that'll
then,
be fine. I'll go here so you don't have to break an extra. I hadn't planned on doing this, so bear with me. A couple of months ago, John Mackey, our president, and I got together and we started talking about workplace violence. We don't currently have a workplace violence procedure, and we thought it would be important to do that. So we called Chris Boucher, a Cold Spring Police Chief, and we brought in one of the lieutenants from the Sheriff's Department, started to have some conversation about building a workplace violence procedure for our company. Basically what that amounts to is in the worst case situation, you get a shooter that comes through the front door, or maybe you have an employee that does something. And then if that happens, how as a company do you react? What do you do with your people? Who goes where? The whole thing. And so we had an initial meeting, and from that we decided to have a second meeting. We brought in Scott with the school, and we brought in some folks from Golden Plum and Third Street Brewery, thinking about them having people as well. And from that we decided to go forward and start working on a workplace violence program for any business, Richmond, Rockville, Cold Spring. I mean, it can even be other places, but we're kind of using the three communities. Any business is certainly welcome to attend, to be part of this committee, and we're going to take the lead from Scott and the plan that they've been working on for the school as the foundation and build upon that with the goal that the businesses who participate will have the same plan. And the important thing is, if you ever run into this and have to dial 911 and say we've got an active shooter, law enforcement is really hoping that they have a better idea of what they're coming up to, that they might know where your employees are going to be, who's in charge of what. A lot of different things where it can help them tremendously calm the situation down and contain the active shooter without other people becoming injured or killed. So Scott's assistant, is it Barb Fuchs?
Yep.
Yep, she sent out an email and now has confirmed the date. It's October 28th at 9 a.m. at Rocori. And that will be the first official meeting of whatever businesses are interested in participating, along with Scott and the school and Stearns County Sheriff and Cold Spring Police. And we're going to start working on this plan. So regardless if you have 2 or 3 people in your business or 1,000, you may want to consider doing this. And then please mention this to any other business, because the more we can bring in, the more commonality there will be and the better this thing will perform. And if you have any questions or if you want any information on this from Scott or myself, just let us know. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Gary, that's very interesting. I think we'll start with the community award that Scott is gonna announce, because that won't take very long, and then we'll get into we've got a Habitat for Humanity's gonna give a quick blurb on something they're doing, and then we'll get into the candidates talking about their issues and taking questions. So, Scott, will you go next with that?
Yeah, we have been working as a chamber over the last year to develop a quarterly recognition, and just because of timing and some other things, we're kind of off of our quarter. We should have been doing this in August, but we didn't have a meeting in August, and then our honoree was not able to be here in September, so we had to push that to now in October. A couple things about that. One is that means the next quarterly award will be next month at the November meeting. So if you haven't filled out a form to nominate somebody, please do that. I'll put some around the tables here as we're done with this presentation. But a year ago we decided as a chamber that what we wanted to do was recognize not necessarily folks that come to these meetings all the time or people that are in the front or forefront of businesses, but we wanted to recognize folks that work very hard in our community to celebrate the things that we do in our community and to put forward our best employees in a recognition forum. And today we're going to honor Karen Willenpring, and she's working at the Cold Spring Bakery. Karen, if you want to come up for a minute, and Lynn, you're more than welcome as well. You'll get a moment here as well. But before we applaud for Karen, before I give her the things that we're going to give her, the nomination forms, 2 nominations came in for Karen, and these are the things that they said about her. Karen is our wholesale manager and coordinates all of our invoicing and deliveries for our 5 daily routes. She works very well with our customers and our delivery drivers in an efficient, friendly manner. She's always very professional in dealing with customers and other employees. She's a great problem solver and makes sure that the right products get to customers as efficiently as possible. The other nominations said this about Karen: although Karen is not regularly at the front counter at the bakery, she does an outstanding job as a Cold Spring Bakery employee. She does a great deal of work behind the scenes to promote and maintain a positive environment at the bakery and in the community. Karen is a tremendous proponent of local business and is a great representative of the community. She works very hard to build strong relationships within the bakery and in the Cold Spring community. Her experience, relationships, and history in the area allow her to know and interact with a wide variety of people and guests. She's always very positive and very productive, and those are the elements of why we wanted to do this kind of recognition. And so, Karen, on behalf of the chamber, we want to congratulate you as being the summer, even though we're in the middle of October, the summer quarterly employee of the chamber, and so we will give this one to you. Lynn, this one also goes to the place of business so that you may display that as well. And then also on behalf of the chamber, we have 2 gift certificates for you for couple of evenings of entertainment throughout the community as well. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Well, we did describe Karen quite well in the, in what was said, but Karen does a really great job of keeping things running smoothly at the bakery. Many people don't realize that more of our product goes out the back door on our wholesale routes than goes out the front door of our bakery. So she's really responsible for making sure that all of that product gets to the right places at the right times, and that we've got trucks where they're supposed to be. So she's doing a great job. She works well with all of the people that we have employed. And we do kind of tease her sometimes. All of our drivers are, well, not all are retired anymore. It's mostly older retired gentlemen, and she's got to be in charge of those. At one point, we had 10 drivers, so she always was telling them they're all in our top 10 of drivers. Now, unfortunately, we moved to 11 drivers, so somebody fell out of the top 10.
Sure, any comments?
No, just thank you. I mean, it's easy to do my job because I love coming to my work, and the people there are great. And so it's easy.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank
on behalf of the chamber. And there are nomination forms. I'll bring those around to the table. Again, we do need nominees for the next order.
Okay, well, we were asked to let Habitat for Humanity speak, and I know, Jim, you weren't aware of it, and whoever was supposed to, so who's ever here on behalf of Habitat for Humanity, or Jim, do you have any idea?
I will say a few things and hopefully I'll come up front also.
Okay. Right after you're done, we'll let the candidates come up, we'll introduce them, and start the questions with the candidates.
Well, as some of you know, I've been holding the flag for Habitat for Humanity in the Rocori build for a while, but I've recently let it go to a new committee, and on their behalf, I want to present a challenge to you. The Rocori build is almost done. We have secured almost enough funds to make it happen. We have a family, a very deserving family, that's going to help build a community. The Thrivent Financial has given a very generous grant that brought us all the way to $33,000 short of our goal. I want to reach out and challenge every business here and or person. If you take that $33,000 and divide it by 33 people, that's a $110 donation each. With that donation, we will make this happen for this family. It's this close. The house is 3/4 of the way finished. They're drywalling, ready to put trim in. And it's located in the south side, up in Emma's Addition. So you will be getting letters. I think they're going to send out form letters challenging everyone individually and as a company. I know I currently have one at the bank going through right now, and we have some donors there. So that's the information they wanted to get through to you, and please, let's make this happen for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, for stepping in on and on. We'll have the candidates come up, sit here, we'll introduce, and if anybody has questions, I've got some questions put together if we don't have a free-flowing question coming up, and I'll, bring some to the table. But if you guys want to come up, we'll get started. I'm going to introduce. Is there an order? Well, I want to thank you guys for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come here today to talk with us. And I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves, because Regina, you're the only one that I have gotten the blurb on. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves, how you got into politics, and Then we'll open it up to questions. Take it from there. I have a lot of pages here, because this was the library one. And if you want me to.
Okay, nope, that's good. Good afternoon, I'm Brigida Komick. I've lived in Cold Spring for the last 17 and a half years. I've been married to my husband Kyle for 22. I have 4 kids that have attended St. Boniface and Rocori both. I've served on the Park Board, the EDA, the Planning Commission, on the City Council, and as a former mayor. It's been 4 years since I've served on the City Council, and to keep busy in the meantime, I just stepped down as the past president of the Homeschool Committee in St. Cloud that serves over 210 families. My husband and I co-chaired the St. Boniface Parish Festival for 2 years. And I was invited to be by the director of the St. Cloud Library to be a part of their community planning committee for the St. Cloud Library system. Right now I'm homeschooling 2 teens, and I have 1 in PSEO at the technical school in St. Cloud, and I volunteer throughout the community. I don't live in Cold Spring because I was born here. I live in Cold Spring because I choose to live here. And I really believe in the community, and I really believe in the people that live here. And I even believe in our community so much that when my parents sold their farm recently and were trying to decide between my 4 sisters where they wanted to live, I convinced them Cold Spring was the very best community for them. And they actually relocated here. So I'm even bringing new residents to the community to help improve the tax base. So that's what I have to say.
Well, I'm Dave Heinen. I was born and raised north of Cold Spring. Graduated from Rocori, 1981. I was married in 1989, and I was on the fire department for 23 years. I just retired in July. Why I wanted to do this, for a few years now, I've been wanting to get on and get involved with the city. So when I retired from the fire department, I thought, well, I'll see if I can make it here. So that's about it.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for attending today. Thank River of Life for offering us their facility. Thank you. Thank the Chamber for hosting us. But the biggest thing I'd like to do is answer a question that I'm asked frequently. Frequently I'm asked, why do I want to be mayor? The short answer is because I think that Cold Spring can be better, and I want to be part of that better. The other part of the reason is that I also want to bring openness and honesty to the office of the mayor of Cold Spring. Let me give you 2 quick examples of what I mean. First, Cold Spring will be undergoing a transformation of its downtown district in the next few years. It will happen whether we plan for it or not. Either way, the road will be torn up and things will change. Many, like me, believe that since this happens only once every 60 years or so, this is too big of an opportunity to go without proper planning. I have been working with the Chamber of Commerce, with the Downtown Committee, and also with the city's Planning Commission to put together a plan for this reconstruction project. I have even gone as far as working directly with local businesses in an attempt to obtain a new city-owned parking lot in the downtown area. This parking lot is something that the downtown business people and also the residents of Cold Spring have been begging for a long time. We can and we will make this lot happen. The second reason, if you would please try to remember back just a very short period of time ago to an uncomfortable period in Cold Spring's past. We were trying to hire a new police chief. The incumbent mayor was on a committee to help make the selection. He finally had to announce that he had an undisclosed personal relationship, a relationship that the committee determined was a serious moral and ethical conflict of interest. The incumbent should have resigned from the committee. but he did not. Then, at a city council meeting, he would not answer direct questions about this conflict of interest or about the need for his resignation. Is this the type of leadership that we want from our mayor? If you're like me, you want more openness and more honesty from our chief elected officer. As these two examples clearly show, I will be more open and honest, and I want to lead Cold Spring into the future. If it's openness and honesty that in your leaders that you're looking for, I would ask you to please vote for me on November 4th. Thank you.
Does anybody take questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Bob has already addressed it, but I'd like to hear from all the candidates about this downtown project. That the downtown project could change the way Cold Spring looks. So first, what do you think of this downtown project? And the second thing is, the numbers are starting to come out, and it could be $2 million. What do you feel about the cost also?
Well, the downtown project, I mean, we need to redo that street anyway. The Red River's gotta be fixed up and to, I guess, to make sure that we do it right, that's very necessary for the city. The cost, I don't know much about the cost. You say it's $2 million, that's a lot of money, but we'd have to figure that out.
I have been around the city for a very long time, and I've seen so many community improvement programs and projects have the rug pulled right out from under them time after time. And if I am elected, I will fully fund and I will fully support a downtown community improvement project, especially one that's being ran by that fabulous committee of residents and business owners. It was so wonderful to go to that meeting and see all those young faces of new people that are interested in their community. This is, like Bob said, or Dave said, every 60 years, this is a once in a generation chance. And we certainly have a responsibility to our community to invest in them. What was the second part of that question, Dan?
The cost.
The cost. I think we should fully fund it. I mean, everybody wants to keep their taxes low, and I totally understand that. Everybody's got a budget, but projects don't happen on chump change, you know, and if you want to have to upgrade a community, it's going to take some money, and it might even take, this is going to be very unpopular to say, but it might take raising community taxes to make it happen. But where else does it come from? Money doesn't grow on trees, just like your mom said, and we have to fund it. And generations before have just ponied up and did what they needed to when the time came, and it's our generation's turn.
What the question is getting at is Main Street and also Red River Avenue are going to be completely rebuilt. They're both county roads, and so therefore this Stearns County will have a large input as to what exactly is going to be done. But the city of Cold Spring also gets to take a lead in as far as what will the streetscape look like? What other improvements will we be doing? And I think that's a large part of what this question is about. How much are we going to pay for putting pipes under the ground? We really have very little control over that. We have to provide water and sewer, so we have very little control over that. But what we do have some control over is what do we want it to look like? What do we want it to feel like? Now, as part of the downtown committee, they've already had a discussion where they understand and they know that part of the cost of this project will be assessed against the adjacent property owners. Business people in the downtown community that want to actually participate, want to make their area of their downtown better, more attractive to customers, have already stepped forward and said, yes, I'm willing to pay an assessment. So again, the community has already begun begun the process of working through some of this. Now, will there be some dissension? You know that will happen at some point. But the bottom line is, some of this is going to be mandated by Stearns County. Some of this will be a planned thing that right now we don't even know what the plans look like. The downtown committee has worked on getting a consultant that will come in and help with the design work and some of that kind of thing. Again, this is exciting, and it's going to be a chance of a generation, if I can use your expression. How is it going to be paid for? The cost is going to be split multiple different ways. Some will be special assessments, some by Stearns County, and some of it will be paid for via TIF financing, but some of it will be paid for by just a regular tax assessment, a tax levy that every resident of Cold Spring will need to be paying.
I'll have, the Friends of the Library brought a question to the table, so this is from Brenda of the library. If you want to each answer this. Where and how do you foresee the library expansion? The City Council, with the approval of matching donation funds at one point, felt it necessary to expand our tiny library. What do you believe the city's next move will be?
I'm gonna let you go first, Bob.
Thank you. Again, one of the things that having been on the city council now for the last however many years it's been, I've been actively involved in the library issue, and we've tried a whole lot of different things to try to find a new home. We've tried, thanks to the school district's efforts, we've tried to find a home for the library in the district education facility. We've tried a number of different things, but we have not yet come up with a good home. Will we find that home? Yes, we will. How big will that home be? And where will it be located exactly? I cannot tell you. But one of the things that I will tell you for sure is, if elected, one of the things that I want to do is I want to begin having conversation with the community and get the community to buy in to what it is they're willing to pay for, what it is they want to see. One of the arguments you'll hear frequently is libraries are dying. If you talk to Great River and a number of other places, they'll tell you libraries are not dying. They may be evolving. There may be less need for paper books, but people are still using libraries today, perhaps more than ever. So maybe we need to change the way we look at libraries, but the library itself is not dead. So we need to have a dialogue. We need to find out, how do we want our library to look, and then once we figure out what we want it to look like, then we can find a place for it and how to fund it.
I know you're looking at me. I'm not real involved in that part of it right at all, but once I get on, I mean, that discussion will come up. I know it will. It's been a topic for a couple of years now, I believe, and it will come up, and we will have to figure that out. I know they've been wanting a bigger place. It is a small place for the library, but something that will have to be figured out.
Thank you.
I think we need to ignite a discussion about the library. This council, including Bob, has had a chance to do something about the library for a very long time. And in my 15 years of service to the committee, I have never seen such a long-suffering, dedicated group other than the Friends of the Library. They have hung in there through bad treatment from the council, through neglect, through arguments and debates. And those folks are still volunteering. I've never seen such a dedicated group. So first of all, my hat's off to Friends of the Library. But it's a shame that a city has such an activist group that's actively wanting to write grants, scout locations, offering proposals, raising money in beer fests and book sales to make studies that are eventually shelved. And just totally ignored, and I think very much disrespected. I think that they've been unfairly maligned, and they have such a talented group of people that are grant writers, that are community residents, that are library specialists, that know what our needs are, community there, and they're talking to it. Most of you, I don't know if you realize, Cold Spring is an extremely literate community. Out of the entire Great River Regional System, Cold Spring has the third highest number of lens, only behind the St. Cloud Library itself, the main building, and the city of Buffalo. Cold Spring is number 3. We have an exceptionally literate community, and for us to neglect a library that is so widely used and necessary, and libraries are evolving. I think that's a shame that we don't take advantage of the gifts and the time and the fundraising that this committee is willing to do, and we don't have a library project already. I think it's an absolute shame that a project hasn't been implemented and a plan hasn't been followed, and that we don't have a library by now. I think that's something that needs to happen. It's not, as time goes by, a library isn't going to get any cheaper. It's just going to get more expensive. And when we live in a city that's surrounded by a township, and Rockville also, grantors want to grant applications that serve more than one city, and Cold Spring certainly meets that threshold. And we know there's lots of grants out there, more grants for new buildings than for used. However, we have, dead load is the issue, is a building that's out there able to hold the weight of the books. We have some existing buildings that do, that we need to look at, and we also can't shut the door to a new library, which several people on the council currently say no to because it might cost us a few bucks. Again, it's investment in your community. Cities like Sartell are clamoring for a library. And St. Cloud Library System has money set aside for us for years that we have just refused to do something about. And either we get the money or it goes away. It's our choice, and I don't think we can afford to let that money slip away to another community. So that's my answer to the library question.
Can I make another comment on that? Okay. With regards to some of the comments that were made, the current library is roughly 1,600 square feet. The last proposal that we received from the library board is they wanted 7,000 to 9,000 square feet of dedicated space. I agree that we have a very busy library, and I agree that the 1,600 square feet is probably too small. But I don't know that 9,000 square feet is going from 1,600 to 9,000 square feet. I'm not sure that that's the right answer. So what I'm proposing is, let's talk about it. And if there really is a study that the Great River can show us that where they come up with a size and an approach that seems to make more sense for the city of Cold Spring, I think we should embrace it. But until we have a procedure, a proposal that seems to be more reasonable than 9,000 from 1,600, I just don't know that the city of Cold Spring is ready and willing to pay for that big of a step.
And I don't know if 9,000 square feet, Bob, is the magic number. I don't have a magic number. I just think that we need to embrace this committee. We need to utilize what they have to offer, and we got to stop treating them like the ugly stepchild, because that's how the council has kind of treated them up to this point, and eventually they're going to get tired and they're not going to want to help, which is going to be a crying shame, because there's so much talent that we can utilize, and cities rarely have a committee that's that committed, that sticks by an issue and works on it for years and years and years at a time. And this committee has been working on this, trying to get a library project through for over 4 years, more closer to 5. I think that's just, it's a crying shame, because it shouldn't have had to happen. If the council was willing to work with the Friends of the Library, we could have already had a project by now. And I don't think it's lack of being willing to work on the behalf of the Friends. I certainly think it's the council. And I think a lot of it has to do with money. Some members say that, well, I'm not going to do a library if it's going to cost us $1 in taxes. Well, I'm sorry. Libraries are like roads and bridges and school districts. They cost money. They just do. So to say that we're going to build a new library and not pay for it, I think is a slight to the community. So.
We have another question here.
Yes, I have a question. Money, of course, is always important, But I do believe there is a significant amount of money that has already been raised by Friends of the Library and others. And I don't know the figure. Do you people know the figure that is available? I know the city council has spent a significant amount doing a study for what is an appropriate library building, which was rejected, I believe. What is the amount of money already raised that's in an account someplace?
I don't have those numbers.
I don't know that either.
It used to be $10,000. A study was commissioned that the council approved. The Friends of the Library paid half of the money that they'd raised. I think they had like $10,000 at that time they used for a study. And then the rug was pulled under them and the study was shelved.
Those funds, I believe, were from the Friends of the Library funds.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were.
I've heard, I don't know, it approaches 200,000, 180, 175, I don't know, but it's a significant number.
I believe it's 160,000
For?
that they have for this project.
Okay. That's significant.
Oh, that's big. It's, yeah, like Bob said here, 9,000 square feet is probably way more than Cold Spring needs. So what we gotta do is we gotta sit down and figure out a happy medium, and that would get us a lot closer to the 160 or 180 or whatever that is.
I think we need a planned space where they have so much room now with planned growth. Because once the city does something, they don't do it again. So to sit there and say, we're gonna give you 3,000 feet because you're only at 1,000 feet now, I think that that's crazy. I think that we have to look at future growth. Once this project starts, we gotta be looking to the future. And maybe it's a building where they use part of it now and they're guaranteed in 7 years, they get so much more space. And it's planned that way and it'll actually happen when they hit a trigger or a threshold. But, the way the city works right now, and I've been around it for a long time, it's gonna be done once and done. So can you blame the library folks for wanting to grab as much space as they can now so they have room to grow in the future without having to go through this fight again?
I can see them, they want, they want the big part, and the city doesn't want to pay for that. So you're gonna come up with a happy medium at some point, but you still gotta talk to them and try to negotiate that happy medium. And make sure that there's enough room, like she said, for expansion. You can't put them in a place that's like they got 1,600 square feet now and they need 3,000, so we're gonna give them 3,000. Well, 10 years down the road, they need 5,000. Well, we could have given them 5,000 for a lot less. Or have enough so that they have room to expand at some point.
Gary?
I was involved a little bit with the library project quite a while ago and have not been recently. But I guess I've continued to wonder why the city would not consider very seriously purchasing the First National Bank building. But then I'd also heard that, and I don't know if this is totally accurate or not, but that the Friends of the Library for a period of time had considered that, but then in order to do it, they were planning to do improvements of about $600,000 to the building, which would bring the total cost to about $800,000. And I guess I'm curious to find out why you would need $600,000 worth of improvements to that building. I realize that some things in the interior would need to change a bit, but we've got a drive-up window where you could pick up and drop off books. There's parking available. It's right downtown on Main Street, great local access for everyone. I believe the bank was being very reasonable in what they were offering the building to the city. And I guess I wonder, can't that be revisited and take a more serious look at $600,000 worth of improvements? It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
Can I talk, Jerry? One of the things that is going on, earlier in my prepared comments, I referenced the fact that we're trying to create a city-owned parking lot. Where that parking lot is, if you remember where the old First National Bank building, the Granite Community Bank, if you remember where that building is, that's the area that we're looking at for the parking lot. As part of that deal, we are right now in the process of considering purchasing exactly what you have just mentioned, Gary. We're in the process of having that discussion. In fact I believe it's this coming Monday, the EDA is going to have it on their agenda for that discussion. So those conversations are being had on behalf of the city of Cold Spring. As far as the $600,000 for remodeling costs, again, that is something that I don't know those numbers. I don't know how that is. What I can control, what I do have input about, has to do with the city purchasing of this piece of land. And I've been very vocal about moving that project ahead and getting that done. So will the city move ahead? Will they consider buying that building? Again, I've not shied away from that. That is something that we're considering.
I think to clarify, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the city is considering purchasing the land, including the building. And if I understood correctly, the open land where there are no structures would be hopefully used for the city parking, and then possibly the building could be used for the library. It'd be like killing two birds with one stone, and it seems like a logical thing to do, and I sure hope the city seriously considers that.
Thank you. And again, I can tell you straight out, and Dan is sitting here, as is Jerry, I can tell you straight out, we are in discussion to buy that property. Once the city owns the property, exactly how will it be used? Again, right now it's a bit premature to do that. We don't even own the property. Do we have plans? Yes, there are definitely plans, but one step at a time. Right now we're working towards purchasing the building. Once we have the building, how we will use it, who will pay for it, those discussions will all be had. But I can guarantee you, again, I put my name and reputation on this one. We are in negotiation right now with Granite Community Bank to buy that piece of land.
And I think there's a lot of wisdom to having a library in downtown. It brings vibrancy. People don't realize that a library brings money to local businesses, because honestly, I can't tell you how many times I've been in the library and people from Avon would come and say, I go to your library because I can hit the bakery and I can hit the grocery store while I'm here, because they don't have a good grocery store in their town. And who doesn't love the bakery? I mean, honestly. But, I mean, they're coming, they're buying gas. They come to our library. I think it's a good thing to have it downtown, because you want to have sidewalks connected to it for kids that are riding their bikes to it. I think that safety is an issue. It brings a vibrancy and keeps people in our downtown that we need. But I'm not against, when I was on the council, we were trying to negotiate probably the least, the least of the lots at the Granite Company property. They're looking at probably the least attractive property in that area, and it was on the bike trail, and you know, it could have had bathrooms for public bathrooms, it could have had a kiosk for local businesses. It could have been the Rose Alexander Library with a beautiful granite faux front. But whether it's new or used, that comes down to economics, frankly. And it has to come down with the usability. You gotta have dead load space, which basically is a building that can handle the weight of the books, because they are heavy, which the Granite building, I believe, has. But you also have to have something that is expansion. You gotta have, I can see if we have it at the bank building, there's gonna need to be an elevator, which is a major expense, because it's gotta be handicap accessible. None of those things are insurmountable as far as I know, but I guess I've never been in that particular building, because the bank still occupied it when I was on the council, and I was going around and we were actively looking at buildings in the community. But nothing should be ruled out if it can hold a dead load. It's centrally located, and you know, it's something that's feasible.
as long as it's feasible.
Any other questions? Is it time? We've got about 10 minutes left. There's one other question that was proposed. We won't take just a quick answer, and maybe another question is, what do you see that the most pertinent issue that's facing the city today, and what's your goals to rectify that? So what you feel is the biggest issue facing the city, and if it's obviously the library is a hot topic, the downtown development. So since we kind of went over that significantly, you could state that, but if there's another, and because another one of a couple questions had to do with the police chief and the Wakefield Township not having those services anymore. Subject.
Want me to go, please? Okay. I believe right now, I would say it would have to be Wakefield Township. We need to get our relationship back with them again. We had a good relationship going, I think, for a while. It seemed that way. And with this police chief thing, it kind of went bad. And we got to get our police protection back in Wakefield Township. That's, I think, one of the biggest things we got to do right now. That's it.
Thank you.
Good, Bob.
This is multifaceted, so I'll try to keep each of the pieces brief. But in my opinion, the single biggest issue is the openness and honesty of a particular office holder right now. We all know that the police chief was going to retire. But the timing of it was hastened by certain actions. We also know that the selection committee had a very difficult job. But because of certain actions, again, the perception of how that turned out may not have been as favorable as it might have been. People mention the fact that Wakefield is very upset with regards to how this all turned out. Again, I go back to, it needn't have happened in the first place. But it did happen, and now we have to go back and fix things. We have to mend bridges. We have to begin the process of reforming relationships. I agree, Wakefield is a huge issue, and we have to do it. The city of Richmond has a contract with us as well. The city of Rockville has contracts with us as well. We are not an island. We need to begin building relationships with those constituent groups around us, with the school district, with the different churches. We need to start working more actively with building better relationships. And the library is just one of the example of that. There are just several different topics that we could go into. Again, we need to begin the process of building trust, building relationships, and being more open and honest.
I guess I hear that coming from a current councilman who was part of the ham-fisted handling of the police chief debacle. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. I worked really hard when I was in the council as the mayor to develop a working relationship with a township that had been dysfunctional up to that point. And I was so proud of the council when you got together with those townships and you had that hiring committee. And I was so pleased when you came up with a candidate and then it blew up. And it felt like it could have been handled differently. And hindsight is 20/20, but we need the township. We don't just need them because the police, but when we have future annexation, we need to work with the township. We're looking for water rates because we desperately need water for our large businesses and for our community, and not just any water is good. It's got to be safe drinking water. Nitrates are an issue. We're going to have to be using property out in the township because we're not going to find it within the city. We've got to have a good working relationship with them. And actually now they feel disrespected, they feel maligned, and they are certainly not in the mind frame of wanting to be very helpful to the city of Cold Spring. And we need to do something. Talk is cheap, but we need to improve that relationship. I've had private conversations with several of the people on the township. And they're just as upset about this relationship as we should be, or as our current council should be. And I don't think anything is gonna change unless there's a change in the council. Frankly, that's what it comes down to, because they've had 4 years to change it. And it was going well, and this blew up, and it should have been handled better. You talk about wanting things to be better. This should have been handled way differently. And I don't think that the current council is going to be able to mend the relationship with the township. I think it's going to take new leadership. And sometimes it's time for a change. And I believe that's now.
I agree.
If anyone else has a question, if not, I'll thank everybody for coming, and there's, the discussion of this table over lunch is, we all live outside of the city limits, so we can't vote, but being business owners involved in businesses, just like to take the time to encourage people to get involved, go to the city council meetings, voice your opinions. I know I had sent out an email to, I think it was the whole chamber membership, that the NFIB is a great organization for business owners, and they have a political action committee. We wanted to invite, some of the state representatives here today, but it wasn't gonna be enough time. But, it's, in my business, I meet with a lot of people, and they're, it's really funny how political talk comes up almost constantly, and a lot of complaining, but no involvement. So, I just like to take time to encourage people to get politically active. Thanks for attending our lunch today. Great rest of the week, and thank you guys for taking time out of your schedule.
Gary? Thank you. Can you hang on one second?
Well, just
Thank you.